find it, quote, hard to let in things from outside which could potentially be salvific, end of quote. By salvific, she means freeing. Put simply, it is hard to let in the loving grace of God. It is here that Jones turns to what she calls the alluring cross. There is no doubt that the cross reflects the depth and scope of the reprehensible violence that can be inflicted on a human being. On the cross, therefore, Jesus suffers the depth of human trauma experienced by those most victimized by profound violence. He endures the excruciating physical trauma of nails piercing his hands and feet. He also endures the agonizing spiritual trauma of feeling abandoned by God. My God, why have you forsaken me? He cries out. It is no wonder, therefore, that the cross is at the center of Black faith. That Jesus was crucified indicates his absolute solidarity with victims of unspeakable violence, like that of white supremacy. Jesus makes this solidarity clear in his absolute refusal to save himself from the fate of crucifixion. Quote, "If you are the King of the Jews, save yourself," the soldiers shout. End of quote. By remaining silent, Jesus does nothing to save himself, at the same time that he forsakes any privilege, human or divine, that would compromise his steadfast identification with victims of crucifying violence. It is because of Jesus' death on the cross that Black faith testifies to Jesus' deep and personal identification with Black people as they bear the trauma that is exacted by the legacy of white supremacist violence. Howard Thurman explains it this way as he describes the significance of Jesus' death on the cross for the enslaved. Quote, "The death of Jesus took on a deep and personal poignancy. There was," he says, "a quality of identification in the experience." End of quote. Put simply, just as Black people have been sure that Jesus identifies with their realities of violence and trauma, they identify with his. Thus, as Black people sing, quote, "Were you there when they crucified my Lord?" the boundaries of time are crossed. For it testifies not only that they are on the cross with Jesus, but also that Jesus is with them in their crucifying realities. And, despite the fact that, as Jones says, quote, "we are not supposed to find any sort of comfort in the pain suffered on the cross. For a people whose lives have been consistently marked by violence, the cross provides the opening for receiving God's grace. For in the end, the violence of the cross does not have the last word. There is the resurrection, thus the allure of the cross." Maintaining the connection between the resurrection and the cross is important, for it makes clear that the loving grace of God can indeed overcome the most poignant violence and hence heal the wounds of trauma. It is the connection between the cross and the resurrection that has enabled Black people to not only know that God, through Jesus, deeply feels their pain and suffering, but also that God can help them to overcome it. And so it was that Black people could testify in song, he arose from the dead, and the Lord shall bear my spirit home."